Welcome back, Texas Realtors, and we are going to be doing a much requested long form of the residential buyer's representation and tenant representation agreement. So let's get started. Here we go. So as many of you are aware of, the new short form came in last year because of the NAR settlement. We have a video that goes over step by step the short form. That's not today's class. Today is going to be the long form where we are going to dive deep into every section so you understand it and are able to explain it to your clients. So let's do it. So first of all, when you're at the top and you're looking at paragraph 1, you want to get your client's legal name because that's what you're going to write on the contract. So you want to get as much information from your client that's most accurate, and you want to guide them to say what is your legal name as you will have it written in the sales contract. So you do want to have their current home address just for any kind of reference during the whole transaction and after the deal. Easy breezy. The broker side is going to be list the name of your corporate broker. So you're going to put the broker's name and then you're going to do a dash and you're going to put your name next to it. Remember, the broker appoints buyer's agents to represent buyers. The broker appoints listing agents to represent sellers. So you want the broker's name, all the broker's information, and your name and your information. Let's go to paragraph 2. So this is the appointment. So right here, the client grants the broker the exclusive right to act as client's real estate agent. This is a contract. This is not a notice like many of the representation paperwork you give to your clients is just giving them wire fraud notice, information about brokerage notice, and general information to buyers and sellers notice. Those are all notices, yet we ask your clients to sign those notices just to acknowledge receipt. But the residential buyer tenant representation agreement actually is a binding contract between the broker and your clients. So let's go to paragraph 3, which is definitions. So definitions is the area that the client is actually going to authorize you to find them a property and to service them. If you were to put a certain county in this paragraph 3 and your client finds a home in a different county, guess what? You're not making money because you don't represent that client in that county. You only represent that client in this county. So be careful how you write this up to say the service area. I like to tell clients to do I'm up in North Texas, so I can say North Texas, and that covers a massive area. Some people might represent the client in all of Texas. If you're able to do that and you belong to different associations and have a level of expertise, you could put Texas. Some clients say that, no, I have multiple agents in multiple areas and they're all servicing me in their specific area. And that's okay too. So just be aware of that. The other part is if you are actually representing a client for only specific properties, you could write the specific property or 2 properties. I mean, there's no set rule. I just want to make you and your clients aware of the importance of the definition of the area you are representing them in. Then we go into paragraph 4, and that is the terms of this agreement. This is important too. How long is the client going to be searching for a home? Do they want to get a home in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? Is it a relocation client who's going to take them a year or 2 to find a home? That's important to put the date on there. And if this date expires and you haven't done an amendment to the representation agreement, then you really have no claims on getting compensated. So make sure that you are constantly on top of this date and you are amending and extending it throughout the time you're representing the client. Paragraph 5, broker's obligation. So what is the broker going to do for your client? The broker is going to assist the client in acquiring the property in the market areas and assist the client in negotiating the property. Easy. Paragraph 6, client's obligation. So what are the client's duties to you? What are their loyalties to you? So the client here agrees to work exclusively through the broker in acquiring a property in the market area and negotiate the acquisition of the property. It also says that the client has to let other people know. They need to inform brokers, sellers, landlords, whomever, that they are actually working exclusively with you. Agents, make sure you are coaching your clients on what this means and how to do that, especially if your clients are visiting for sale by owners or if your clients are visiting new construction. You need to educate them, send them off with your business cards and teach them the script. I am working exclusively with a real estate agent. Let's go to our next page. Here we go. Paragraph 7, broker's compensation. The most confusing part for real estate agents to actually grasp how to explain this. This is where agents get uncomfortable discussing money. Guys, this is what we get paid for, and we get hired to be negotiators. So it's super important for you to have the confidence to say, this is what I make. This is how I get paid. This is who pays me. So let's dig in. Here we go. Broker's compensation. So this section is just saying that if the broker finds a property, you close and fund on the property, then the broker will be compensated for the services. The box in section A are the broker's fee, and they're earned and payable by client if, only if, right, you acquire a property. So option number 1 is a percentage. It cannot be a range. It has to be an exact percentage. And then the flat fee, no ranges. So let's discuss a scenario. Most agents ask me, what do I put on there? What if I'm showing them homes that the seller is offering 1%, 2%, 3%? Should I put 1%, 2%, 3%? Here's the best practice. You're going to put on there what your fee is, which is all negotiable, right? It could be 3, 2, 1. It's irrelevant. But here's the caveat to this. If you find a property that is more or less, this has to be amended. So when you get to closing, your buyer's rep agreement has to match the 1-to-4 contract. It has to match the closing disclosure. Everybody has to have agreed upon how much you're making. So I like to start with my professional compensation fee is 3%. And Mr. Buyer, if we find a property that is less or more, then you and I will have a conversation. I will disclose that to you. Remember, friends, everything's disclosure, communications, and negotiations. That's the key. I will disclose that to you, and then we will negotiate and amend the buyer's rep agreement. You're going to ask me about bonuses. That's coming later. Don't worry. Then the same for leases. What do most agents make in a standard lease? Most agents make a 50% of one first full month's rent. Now, you could say, I get paid 100% of one full month's rent. That's fine. Yet remember, if the seller or landlord or broker is offering less, are you going to go back to your client and have them write the broker a check? You can. It's all negotiable. There's no set fees, and your time is worth whatever you feel your time is worth. So I strongly encourage you to have those conversations and to come up with the right amounts. And then to remember, amend, amend, amend. So it all matches. There's transparency and negotiations throughout your compensation. So let's go into the source of compensation. Brokers seek the compensation first from the seller and from the other broker. So you explain it to your buyer, Mr. Buyer, I will seek this fee first from the seller or the other broker. Then after that, guess what? It's negotiable. Then either you will owe me the difference or the entire fee, or I will negotiate with you. That's how you want to explain it to them. Then earned and payable, right? If you find them a house, or if your client breaches this contract. So if your client goes out behind your back and purchases a home, and the home it closes, well, while you were under contract, then you are owed that compensation. So you could go back to the client and say, you closed on a home, we were under contract, you violated our terms, you owe the broker the compensation. Not everybody does that, just showing you what you could do on here. So let's go to acquisitions of brokers listings. So intermediary. So if the client acquires a property that's your broker's property, right? That means that your broker will pay this paragraph 7A accordingly. So that means that the broker has a listing agent representing the seller. The broker has a buyer's agent representing the buyer. Whatever the agreement is from the listing agent, even though it's all in-house, it's all from the same brokerage, it's actually laid out here for you. So in case that scenario happens, your compensation is protected. Let's go to paragraph C, earned and payable. So, paragraph D, acquisition, brokers listings. We got that. Paragraph E, additional compensation. So here's the part about new construction. So new construction, most of our clients can go out there on their own and be checking out all kinds of other properties without you, as long as they're disclosing to the builder, registering with the builder that they are working exclusively with an agent. Then if the builder has a bonus on there, no problem. You have to amend the contract. If the builder is paying more or less, no problem. You have to amend this contract so it all matches. Then there's the service provider side, which says that the broker might receive a referral fee from any service provider, cable companies or movers. You might, and this just discloses that. And then other compensation. So make sure in this other compensation, this is very clear here. Do not insert bonuses or ranges on here. This is used more if you wanted to charge for a transaction fee, or you wanted to charge for some kind of a service fee outside of bonuses, outside of compensations. And it clearly on the notices regarding bonuses, how you have to have it in writing that you are receiving a bonuses. So we go back to that lovely amendment to the buyer's representation agreement. Let's go to our next page. Here we go. We're moving right along, and we have protection period. So protection period, I always recommend doing a 60-day, 90-day protection period. And this protection period just says that if your client goes back to any of the properties that you showed them after this agreement is terminated. So remember, the agreement expired, the agreement is terminated, and your client goes back out the day after this expires and puts an offer on one of the homes that you just showed them the day before. According to this protection period, you have, whether you put on there 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you are protected from all the homes that you showed the client. Now, here's the important part. You have 10 days to send the client a list of all the homes that you showed them and let them know that if they go back and purchase any of these homes while they're still thinking about it, you're still owed the compensation. So that's how you want to explain the protection period and what that means. Let's go into the escrow authorization. Easy breezy. This is just saying that the client authorizes the escrows to disperse broker's amounts at closing. Paragraph H is the county the broker gets paid at, not the county the property is at, or the county where you live, or the county where the title is. The county where your broker is where the broker gets paid. Then we go into representation. So by each person signing this agreement, they are saying that they're legally capable of signing this agreement and authorizing it for the respective party. You cannot have the seller, you cannot have the husband sign this agreement, yet the wife is the one purchasing the property. You cannot have the son sign an agreement, yet the dad is the one purchasing the property. Be very clear with that. Now, if you can have a power of attorney, you could be the executor of an estate, but when those scenarios happen, make sure that you have the documentation that says that this person is authorized to sign this document. So the next is just miscellaneous stuff that says that the client is going to disclose any other relocation companies or any other employer that they're working with. Sometimes there are some rules with relocation companies of who they can work with, who they cannot work with. So make sure you're going through this section so they understand their representation. Then we have intermediary. Oh boy. Okay, let's go. Let's discuss intermediary. So we have intermediary with appointments, without appointments. And then we have intermediary that just means the client has been looking at the broker's listing, the broker that you belong to. That creates intermediary. So when you show a home to your buyer, one of the broker's homes, now you've entered into the intermediary world. So your client is choosing to acquire a property your brokerage has. At that moment starts disclosure. You must educate your buyer and say, Mr. Buyer, this home that we're looking at today is one of my broker's listings. And you agreed on intermediary. Now we need to discuss intermediary with appointments and intermediary without appointments. So intermediary with appointments means, here we go, here's the pyramid. It's the broker's listing. The broker assigns a buyer to represent the buyer, assigns a buyer's agent to represent the buyer, assigns a listing agent to represent the seller. Listing, broker, assignment. Then some brokers allow you to do intermediary with no appointments. That means pyramid. Listing is on top, listing agent is on top, and the consumer contacted the listing agent directly, and the broker is allowing you to represent the seller and represent the buyer. That would be intermediary with no appointments. I do not recommend that. I think it is very, very difficult to be fair to both parties and not mess up somewhere down the line. It's very difficult to love and serve both clients equally. I know a lot of agents risk legally because they want to double dip and make both sides of the commission. Well, that's also the biggest problem, is that the clients know that you're double dipping. Therefore, the risk and liability is bigger and the expectations is bigger. So I don't recommend intermediary with no appointments ever. I recommend intermediary with appointments, and still you got to be careful because real estate agents can show up to the broker's office meetings and divulge information to each other, and that's a violation about the buyer or about the seller. So even when the broker represents and assigns the buyer and the seller and assigns different agents to each, it could still be tricky. So just be wise when you are doing that and always protect the interest of your clients. So let's go into the next one. Next page. Confidential information. I think we went over that, but I want to dig a little bit deeper about confidential information so you understand. If your client is moving out of the state, that's nobody's business. That's confidential. If your client is getting married or getting a divorce, that's nobody's business. That's confidential. If your client got a job or didn't get a job or lost a job, all that private information needs to be kept private, because any of that can and will hurt your client when you are negotiating. So you guys, I know we're super friendly. I know we're super outgoing and we like to talk a lot. Yet this information is confidential unless your client has authorized you to disclose it in writing. Let's go to the next one. Competing clients. So client acknowledges that broker may represent other prospective buyers. What does this mean? So the broker has lots of agents and the broker represents lots of buyers. You have other buyers that you also represent. You might show buyer A this property and buyer A says, I really don't like it. You just toured the property and think, ooh, I have buyer B that might really, really love this property. So you call buyer B, show them the property. Buyer B puts an offer on the property. Then buyer A calls you the next day and says, hey, I thought about it. I love this home. I want to put an offer on it. And you're like, oops, I just sold this home to buyer B. Do you see the problem? So you need to educate your clients and say, hey, I've got a bunch of buyers and they might really love this home too. So when we're touring homes, you need to really let me know if you like it and if it's on your top list, because I might go find another buyer and show them this exact home that might be a perfect fit. You got it? So here we go. More confidential information, paragraph 11. And what I want to point out from this is that it's during and after. So even after you close or this agreement expires, the confidential information is still supposed to stay confidential. Paragraph 12 is mediation. Easy breezy. You're just saying that you guys are going to first go to mediation and resolve any issues that arise before you go to litigation. Then we go paragraph 13, which is default. It just says that if anybody defaults, the broker could default, the client could default. It breaks down your options if somebody defaults. We go paragraph 14, attorney fees. It just says that whoever wins, the prevailing party, could go and also seek attorney fees. Then we go into limitation of liability. This is an interesting one. You might have a buyer who says, I want to get up on the top of the roof and I want to inspect the roof myself. I want to go up in the attic and check the attic myself. First of all, say no. That is a huge risk. And that is why we have professionals who actually go up on the roof and go into the attic. A lot can happen, but this paragraph 15 just says the client will not hold the broker liable for any damages or personal injury. If it's snowy, icy, and you're showing homes and your client slips and falls, the client is agreeing to not hold the broker liable. So just go through each paragraph. I want you guys to learn to own the paragraphs, be able to explain the paragraphs to your clients, just like I'm doing to you right now. I'm actually not reading paragraph word for word. I am able to take every paragraph and break down the basic concepts. That is what's going to make you an expert real estate agent when you're able to do that. Let's go into the next page. Here we go. We're down to the last page. Good job, guys. Hanging in there with me. Page 17, special provisions. You're not an attorney. Don't write anything on there that there's already a form that exists or that is already in this form. The one thing I do write on this form quite a bit is a protection clause for myself and for my clients, which is this contract may be terminated by either party with a 24-hour written notice. I want to make sure that if our relationship is not good and I don't work well with this client, I have an out. I give a 24-hour written notice and I can terminate this agreement. I want to make my clients feel comfortable that they are not locked in to 3 months, 4 months, whatever this agreement says. I want them to understand that I am going to earn our relationship. And if at any time during these months of our agreement, they are not happy with my services, they can give me a 24-hour written notice and all is good. What you want to say is, Mr. Buyer, I do not work with people who don't want to work with me. I want to work with people who like me, trust me. And the same goes for who I want to work with. I want to work with clients that understand that I'm the expert and I'm guiding them through this process. Now let's wrap it up with paragraph 18, additional notices. So in this section, you are reminding the buyer that you cannot discriminate against race, color, religion, sex, all that good stuff. So you cannot discriminate. Be very careful with discriminative verbiage when showing properties about neighborhoods or community or persons. Then paragraph B, remind them that you're not a professional inspector or appraiser, that they're going to hire those people. You can advise them, but you're not the expert in those areas. Then we go in giving them some tips, right? So make sure that they get a title policy, paragraph C. Paragraph D, letting them know that they can also purchase a home warranty. That is advised to purchase a home warranty, which is not the same as home insurance. And then that you can refer them a couple of home warranty companies that are reputable in Texas. Paragraph E, remind them that when viewing properties, wow, nowadays there's a Ring doorbell, there's cameras in every corner of the house, Siri is listening to you. You need to let them know when they're inside a house or even walking up to the house, they could be recorded. So make sure that they're not spilling their personal information or even hurting themselves in the negotiation. Like saying, oh, I love this house. I must have this house. Edie, do everything you can to get me this house. That would be really, really bad. So make sure that you guide them and educate them because you want to be a great negotiator for them, right? And you don't want them to hurt themselves. And the last one is reminding them about wire fraud. guys, the most important thing about educating them on wire fraud is that you're never going to send them an email instructing them to wire money. The title company can send them an email instructing them to wire money, but they never should unless they verify the source, not by responding to the email, but actually picking up the phone and contacting the person and saying, did you send me these instructions? And was this you? So we are hired to protect our clients, to guide our clients. And last but not least is letting them know that if they don't understand anything on here, they are legally binded by this agreement. So to consult an attorney, you cannot give them legal advice. And that's pretty much in all our forms. We want to make sure that we tell our clients, if you don't understand something, you need to seek an attorney, because I am not an attorney. And that wraps up the representation agreement for buyers and tenants. I hope you watch this video once, twice, 3 times until you are able to sit down with somebody and explain it to them with confidence. Please subscribe and check out our series on contracts. I will be popping new contracts out as quickly as I can. We have so many new contracts that have come out this year. I want to keep all the agents updated. As always, Edie Leon, your Texas broker, here to serve the real estate community and educate all consumers.